Hi, I'm Professor Beck Strah.
And I'm Professor Eric Bronson. And this is Prison Breakdown.
2, 3, break!
Hate to spoil his fun, but we're gonna bust out of here.
2, 3, break!
I'm locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me.
2, 3, break!
I can honestly say I'm a changed man. No danger to society here. God's honest truth.
2, 3, break!
I'm not leaving this cell. I'll get out my way. The right way.
2, 3, break!
Ahoy, dudes. Welcome back. This is a very special production of Prison Breakdown. And do you know why?
I know why.
Tell me why. Tell me why.
It's May. It's May. Let's do it.
It's gonna be May.
Yes. I was hoping one of you would pick up on that after my Backstreet Boys prompt.
You mean the Backstreet Boys?
Ooh,
Backstreet Boys,
that's a very good
yes.
point. That's a very good point.
Yeah. Well, producer Britt and I, we used to duet to a Backstreet Boys song or two in our time in karaoke. And one time, a woman in her 50s came up and kissed me on the mouth. That was something interesting.
Mm-hmm. That is something interesting.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jealous yet, listener? Well, keep listening.
As someone who's married to someone in their 50s, I am jealous.
Eric, how like equitable of you.
Yeah. So
I was in my 20s at the time, so it was weird.
Yeah. If you're an ageist.
Yeah. This woman I've never met before in my life. It was great. Britt and I used to do a killer duet, and that's all there is to it. And what was that song? Yeah, it was.
I Want It That Way.
No, it wasn't. I Want It That Way. It was. Oh, you people, can't you see? Larger Than Life. That's what,
we
that's
did both of those songs.
I've never done I Want It That Way. I hate to tell you that. We've done other songs, but I Want It That Way is not one I bring to the karaoke table.
The one I recall very specifically is us doing Blue Dabba Dee Dabba Die, but it wasn't the radio edit. It was like the full song, which is like 5 minutes long and has like 3 verses, and we knew like 1.5 verses. So by the third verse, we're like, wait, what?
Most of it is nonsense noises. Where it's dabba dee dabba die. It like there's just noises. They're not words.
Is that scatting? I think that's scatting, right?
It doesn't. Nothing about it feels improvised.
True.
I always feel if the scat has an improvisational.
Not necessarily. I mean, you know, you look at like Scatman John, and none of his stuff is improvised. It's all on rails. It's pop music, you know.
I think it was improvised. I think every one of those songs was just improvised.
Oh, just jazz. He's like, just roll the tape. I haven't heard this before. Just roll the tape. I'll do it.
Exactly. That's Scatman to me. Speaking of Scatman, your hosts here. We took a little sojourn. We had a lover's date. If you want to call it. Bronson and I went out on the town on Friday night, enjoying a dinner, and we went to go see a show called The Psychology of Serial Killers.
Yes. Very daunting discussion on serial killers.
Yes, run by Dr. told us.
Yeah, and I will tell you, extremely polished speaker. I mean, it was much clearer and without pause, like I am when I talk. Not a single, any sense of any speech impediment when she was speaking. I mean, it was, and she just flew through that first part. You know, I don't know how much she has rehearsed that. It was rather impressive. What would you say, about 45 minutes of her going through her little formula about serial killers?
Yes. So she not only made a 9-point formula about serial killers, but she also interjected clips from, who was it? We had Jeffrey Dahmer. She covered Eileen Wuornos. She covered who's the clown killer? That guy.
Gacy.
John Wayne Gacy. Yeah. And she also covered Ted Bundy. My main problem was she's building this formula off of cases that are like 25 years old at the very newest.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
that's we need more recent data.
Right, because I feel like crime has changed in the digital age. Like with cell phones everywhere now and like, you know, people hypersensitive to, you know, like child trafficking and abduction and stuff like that. Like I feel like it's a harder job to be a serial killer these days, folks.
Well,
we
it's
have
a
a lot
tough
of
gig.
surveillance.
Her formula that she was using to talk about what, you know, these 9 aspects, if all 9 are present, then that, you know, or all serial killers have all 9 of these factors present. Well, there's a lot of things that were very general when it came to what these qualifications were to be in the formula. And so like one of them, our favorite, I think for both of us, we were like, was hormones. So if they went through hormonal changes in their teens, well, all serial killers go
Wait,
through hormonal changes.
Are you saying there's no eunuch serial killers?
Not to the best of my knowledge. I don't think there are.
This sounds like a good episode of SVU.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Wow.
And I think SVU, take this, run with it, because we don't have that yet.
Right.
And yes, so she said, well, hormones are like if you throw a jug of gasoline into a fire that's already lit. And the other factors were like abusive mom, abusive dad, generational trauma / genetics, and brain damage. Like all of too many of the factors were like very broad to the point
head
where
trauma, not brain damage, head trauma. That's we got to, because that's the thing. The head trauma is so much more all encompassing of people. I mean, you got to think, who hasn't had head trauma, or in their lives in some one way or another. I mean, it's all right, if your parents consumed alcohol or your mom consumed alcohol while you were in the womb. Oh, head trauma.
Yeah.
If you had a concussion as a kid.
Yeah, especially in like such a sports obsessed society where like the ones we obsess over the most are, especially in this day and age, are like full contact sports. We're setting ourselves up to be hit in the head.
Now, I would say the second half of the talk was it was dramatically improved because she wasn't on script. Granted,
Yes.
she did have people in the crowd submit questions, and some of them were, why did
She took none of my questions. I submitted 4 questions. She didn't bother with any of mine. Mine were all critical. Like, aren't you
was
worried
terrified.
about like using old data? How does hormones work in this formula if all of us go through hormonal changes? Yeah, she's terrified. She can't handle me. I want a discussion here.
Your questions were too good.
Yeah, it's like the time that I went to see the Clinton Initiative, and we could text questions, and Bill Clinton would answer them. And I asked him, "Hey, Bill Clinton, what's your favorite Police Academy movie?" After he had once talked about how he stayed home with Chelsea and watched all the Police Academy movies, and that coward didn't answer. Bill Clinton, we're looking at you.
He was scared.
Answer the
definitely
public.
scared.
We all know he was too
You're
embarrassed
suspect.
to say it was Mission to Miami.
yeah, exactly. The right answer is Police Academy 4, Citizens on Patrol.
Yeah.
He likes 5.
Although I will say, I think 5, Mission to Miami, has the best villain in Renee Auberjonois.
Who is the villain in a Police Academy film but the police themselves? It is always like the police against like the mean police. It's the goofs versus the dickheads.
That's true. Yeah, the antagonist of the film is usually like your your Captain Harris or your Mauser type. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
and Proctor and all of them.
But yeah, I think that's where the series really changed, actually, because I want to say 5, 6, and 7 all have actual antagonists, whereas the first 4 films, it's all, I mean, I guess 2 kind of does in Bobcat Goldthwait's character Zed. But yeah.
This is a movie May-nute episode, so
yes.
This discussion is insufferable to most people. But
no. This is just the beginning,
and it relates to criminal justice. Come on.
You're talking to two of the Eric. I don't know if you knew, but we are two of the preeminent scholars on Police Academy here.
Mm-hmm. We actually run a series of online courses called Police Academy Academy.
I see.
We're part of the manosphere.
You know, that's interesting. I don't remember reading that on your CV when you submitted an application.
That's because I'm embarrassed to put
it.
I think I would have had that up near the top, right under qualifications.
It was actually, I wanted to be a police officer for many years, and it was in part due to my love of Police Academy. If real life was like Police Academy, I might be a cop today. If it was goofing, yeah, I'm so good at that. Mm-hmm. Pranks, oh, I love a prank.
Yeah. Pranks, definitely.
Right. And then the greatest thing you have to overcome is like a racist captain. Which, you still have to overcome in real life these days, but there's a lot greater systemic issues for a police officer.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that's probably part of why Police Academy hasn't been rebooted to date, is there's too many systemic issues, and it's hard to make police as carefree and fun as they are back in those movies as a throwback.
I mean,
what about Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Well, they retooled the entire last season of Brooklyn Nine-Nine after George Floyd's death to reflect policing does have a lot of issues, and we should probably talk about these in the last season.
I was going to say, if they made it like a satire on policing, they could do the film really funny. They could, do Police Academy, ACAB, all cops are bananas. I like that. Yeah, right. And they could figure something out, I think.
Kind of Reno 911 it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Reno 911 is not a pro cop show. It's not propaganda at all.
No,
which I appreciate about it.
It's pure slapstick.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's just using cops as kind of the situation for situational comedy, which is
right.
Yeah. So back to the psychology of serial killers. It was interesting. In the first 5 minutes, Dr. Rachel Tolis is scanning the crowd. Eric and I are sitting in the front row, and she points down at us, and she's like, "Oh, it's all women here." And then you two. It was probably 90% women in the crowd.
Oh wow!
Because apparently women consume more true crime than men.
Much more.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Very, very much so. Yeah, very much so.
Nope.
Yeah. So the second half though was all Q&A, and she would answer questions like, LOL, my husband says I watch too many episodes of Nurses Who Kill, and then names off 5 other true crime shows. Does this make me a budding serial killer? It's just total softballs, and that sucked. But she did have some cool insights where she angled as though she's advocating for intervention. She's advocating for, hey, we should practice compassion. I practice empathy with people didn't become serial killers just out of nowhere. They got here by being very damaged people in the first place, and they're reenacting a trauma that was inflicted upon them when they were younger. And I think that was a good message to send people with.
Yeah, that's probably.
And I think while also, not only talking about being compassionate, being curious about things in life, but also still mentioning, hey, we're going to hold them responsible for what they've done. Yeah. So it's, even though she might have ruffled some feathers there in the crowd, but yeah, it definitely, hey, we need to understand what the process is about why these people are doing what they're doing, and to better understand them.
Right.
Better understand them and make sure it doesn't get to this point for people. If we understand the warning factors, then we can put more interventions in place to prevent this. And what's better than locking up a serial killer is making sure there's not a serial killer in the first place.
Exactly.
Being proactive rather than reactive with the whole idea of serial killers.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
We can endorse that.
Right.
Yeah, it's weird though. Politicians are always so tough on crime, but no one is preventative on crime.
No.
Yeah.
No one, it's just like medicine, it's preventative medicine is always cheaper and easier and less of a burden on your body than, just actually getting sick in the first place. And that's the same with society, to prevent things is much cheaper, much more systemically efficient than just housing people after they do something that society oftentimes kind of drove them to do.
Yeah, we know from, I think it's a 2020 study out of University of Chicago that for every $1 we invest in early childhood education, we get back $7 on the back end. And that's in part because we're keeping people out of prison and giving them like more skills, more like language skills that they can use to get better jobs. Like it helps out a lot, but we're not seeing these immediate benefits that people want. We have such a short attention span. Give us proactive and preventative programs. Like early childhood education is huge if you don't invest in it.
A free pre-K is like a politically very popular thing, and we've seen places do it. Like New York just enacted it under Manami. I believe Seattle just enacted it under our new mayor, Katie Wilson. And it's a thing that sees like systemic benefits all over the board. Like, first off, it helps out the economy because you can get workers back to work more quickly. Because oftentimes, couples will choose, one of them will choose to be stay at home just because childcare is so expensive these days, And so, if you have a working family, you get another person back into the workforce generating money into the economy again, which, no one hates that. All politicians love jobs.
We do. And a lot of people campaign on that stuff. So yes, the problem is politicians campaigning on jobs 18 years from now, they probably don't see that as a winning proposition, even though it is something that will help people more than almost anything else.
No. I'm talking about like jobs now. Like you have the parents re-enter the workforce instead of staying at home. Like that's an easy sell. Like, yeah.
I am into this idea.
It's more money for the economy, more money for your family.
You should run for office. There's a politician sitting right here.
I would, but I feel unqualified.
Well, should I use that as a qualification to bring up today's sponsor?
I think you should.
Let's
podcast is sponsored by Roger Williams University School of Justice Studies, and they are home to many programs. Take us down a list.
All right, we got such great offerings as international relations, anthropology, sociology, forensic science, political science, legal studies, public administration. Of course, we got the big boys over in criminal justice.
Yeah.
And, of course, they're still offering a certificate in...
Oh, that was cool. Always love that. It's like the slide whistle.
Yes.
Yeah.
And because we love you, Roger Williams University School of Justice Studies, we are here to thank you and continue trying to set a high standard that you have developed for us. If you have any questions, please contact the podcast or Dr. Eric Bronson.
Yeah, reach on out. And come visit beautiful campus in Bristol, Rhode Island.
It is
on the bay.
It is a beautiful campus. Like I love
it is just stunning.
Yeah, when I'm visiting, oftentimes brother will take me over to campus and I'll just like walk around that little town and walk around campus for a bit, have a coffee, enjoy the water, enjoy the view. Make college students be like, what's that dude doing here?
Well, I tell you what, when, for those folks that are, considering college, I know that for a lot of people, college times are stressful, anxiety inducing. When you can go and just sit and stare at that water and just help calm yourself out a little bit, man, it's like outdoor therapy at all times on campus. It is just stunningly gorgeous.
Mm.
It's like on my campus visit almost 6 years ago now. It was the very first thing I noticed. You can't avoid it.
No, you can't.
This gorgeous natural beauty.
Yeah. It is. It is like there are more beautiful campuses, like architecture wise. Definitely, you got your
sure.
Yales and your Harvards, and even Brown has got some very interesting architecture here and there. But like, as far as like the natural surrounding beauty, it's one of the most beautiful campuses I've ever seen in my life.
It's hard to beat. Mm-hmm. Now, we're in the month of May, and somebody tell me, what does that mean to you?
It means a little thing called movie May-nute to May.
Yes, it is that time of the year when we discuss movies about prison for you, dear listener.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And today's feature film is a little film called Animal Factory, released in the year 2000. Released in August of the year 2000. Had a budget.
Makes me feel old.
Yeah, it was a solid.
Makes me feel old. I remember when this came out, and man, you're like, "Oh, that was 26 years ago." Oh shit, I'm old.
with both of you, is this your first time seeing the film?
Yeah.
No, I saw it years ago.
Okay.
Years ago.
And what was your impression of it years ago?
Well, I think when I saw it the first time, it was soon after kind of investigating the book and learning about the author of the book a little bit, and kind of exploring that idea of, almost convict fiction, or, some people, that have done time that end up going into the discipline and have convict criminology. So this is somebody coming from it where they had the experience of being a criminal, being convicted, going through the system and spending time in a prison, and then writing a book about it. The book I thought was fantastic. Because
the book
really
Eric is
got
referring
into
to is The Animal Factory by Edward Bunker.
Right. Yes. It really, I thought, did a really good job where the author really focused on his experience of, finding somebody, a mentor, for lack of better words, to guide him through being incarcerated. I think for me, that in and of itself could be used as a little bit of a guide for people that are going to institutions, especially if they're in California. But yeah, it was, obviously watching it again to remember everything, because I am so stinking old. It's a good movie. But I just think it misses so many aspects of the book.
Yeah, it is a good movie. I think it does get a lot of subcultural stuff right, and it captures like an essence of prison while oversimplifying it, of course, due to time constraints. It is an interesting look into this world. Yeah.
I think one of the things that it really missed out on was internal struggles of individuals that tried to kind of go in that direction, which the book can clearly stress. But, I think that's an aspect of incarceration that's so overlooked, about, the stress that individuals are under while incarcerated. I think Shawshank did a much better job of that, of showing the struggle that individuals were going through within their own mind.
Yeah, I completely agree. And in the prison of the self, if you will. Now, let's talk about this movie. Mm-hmm. It was released in August of the year 2000. Budget was $3.6 million. Does anyone care to guess how much it grossed in the U.S. and Canada?
I actually know. I have that in my notes, and it's it's a fraction of the budget, I will say.
A paltry amount.
Yes. Perhaps a fraction of a fraction.
It grossed $43,000 in the U.S. and Canada, which I'm shocked that Eric remembers this coming out because it seems like it may have been released in 5 theaters or something.
Yeah. It was definitely a limited run theater thing, and I think so it actually only played in Los Angeles.
I did not see it in a movie theater.
Yeah, it was more like direct to DVD. They put it out in Los Angeles just so it could have a theatrical run, so it could be considered for different award seasons.
Okay.
It was VHS.
VHS tape.
We miss him. Mm-hmm. So the film was filmed at the Holmberg State Prison, an inactive prison in Pennsylvania, and at the Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia. Incidentally, this film was directed by Steve Buscemi, who also does the voiceover for Eastern State Penitentiary's audio tour.
Oh, interesting. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I wonder if he had some kind of agreement with the facility that, hey, we can film here. Can you do us a solid and record this audio tour for us? It's very effective. I love listening to him.
And he was also an actor in the movies, which I think he did a phenomenal job in the movie.
Yeah.
Also, interestingly, the guy who wrote the screenplay, Edward Bunker, was also an actor in the movie, playing the character Buzzard.
Yes.
He was also, he's probably best known as an actor for his film, his part as Mr. Blue in Reservoir Dogs.
Huh. I thought you were going to say Blue's Clues, but that was somebody else. I think his name was Steve.
Is a further connection to the film because Steve Buscemi worked with him on Reservoir Dogs. Steve Buscemi famously playing Mr. Pink.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the older guy with a mustache in the film.
Yeah. He's not super prominent but I mean, it's such a strong cast that it's hard to shine above some of those guys.
He shows up a couple times, though. And another interesting fact is they had inmates from the surrounding prisons volunteer to be extras. So they had between 5 to 150 extras on set every day of shooting. It lent authenticity to the film. And the biggest problem that they actually had, according to Steve Buscemi, was that inmates looked like they were having too much fun in the riot scene. And when they're getting chased away by guys in riot gear, they're running for their lives. And they looked like they were having fun. They were smiling. When that would not be the case in real life.
No, they were hooping and hollering, right?
Yeah, exactly. And no, not in real life. That doesn't happen.
No.
So, Britt, would you like to take us through it?
Yeah, I can kind of flesh it out a little bit here. You have my usual super long notes, but. So we start the movie being introduced to Ron Decker, as played by Edward Furlong from Terminator 2. Is that right?
Correct.
Yes.
A young man who's from a very privileged background, and he's sentenced to 5 years in San Quentin for possession of marijuana. Which
not San Quentin though.
It's not.
Yeah. That's where. That's where he had originally done his time.
Oh, okay.
In San Quentin.
Okay, gotcha.
In the book, and then it's supposed to be set in San Quentin, but they just didn't film it there.
Right.
No.
But it's set in San Quentin though, right? He's sentenced to San Quentin.
Yeah.
In the movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
In real life, that's where he does his time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's weird because I missed that detail and nothing there looks like San Quentin.
They mentioned it once or twice in the beginning and never again. So
yeah, they didn't even get exteriors for San Quentin.
No, but Bunker, that's where Bunker did his time, and found his mentor. But that, it's so funny that for those people who know prisons and they look around and they see clearly the maple trees around the prison. Hey, wait a second, this doesn't look like California at all out there. And if you know that it's filmed in Pennsylvania, it makes a lot of sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So next we're introduced. We get to the prison and we're introduced to Earl Copen, as played by Willem Dafoe, who is a veteran inmate who's been there for like 15 years or something like that. Who is kind of like the leader of a prison gang, and he runs a lot of the prison's internal logistics, not just like with his gang, but also like with like prisoner and corrections relations. So he's the guy you go to if you need something done. Really, he's definitely a fixer. He's if you need something, you go to him. He's not like the prison fence or anything, but like he's a fixer. For sure.
He's a power broker there.
Yeah, definitely.
He's connected to everybody. He's so connected that he's like working in an office, writing reports for corrections officers and fixing reports for corrections officers, which is a lot of power to give someone who's incarcerated.
Yeah. And he uses that power at least once in the film in order to diminish the impact of someone's involvement with an incident. And it's pretty interesting, like how much power is there, but just within omitting a sentence or two,
Right.
Yes, exactly. And his style looks very intentional with his shaved head. He's obviously playing a skinhead type.
Right.
We do hear him use some language to infer that he's a racist or bigot, and he refers to the Brotherhood, which is interesting that he's part of this Brotherhood, which is an analog, I'm sure, for the Aryan Brotherhood, but nobody ever calls the gang by name.
Although everyone in the gang is white, and they do have beefs with the Puerto Rican gang and the black gang. So make your own assumptions.
Yes.
Yeah. So Copen, played by Willem Dafoe, quickly takes interest in Ron Decker. But in actually, like, I think a pretty wholesome way for the most part. Like, he sees that Decker is very intelligent and also like innocent, and seems like very lost in his ways. And I don't know if Copen sees something of himself in him or what, but he like takes an interest in him and like takes him under his wing, but not in like a sexual way, not in a like you owe me something kind of way. Really, it's actually like kind of wholesome.
Okay. Mentorship. It's almost fatherly.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there's no exploitation, even though Ron at a few points you can tell he thinks there's going to be exploitation to come. It never comes.
Right. Which is
you can tell at one point he even asks him, hey, why are you doing this for me? What? Because and then he says, I'm not a punk. So he was trying to look out for his future a little bit, but the reason why he was doing it is because he wanted to make sure he didn't have to pay him back for being looked after.
Right. And I think punk in this movie was probably used as a placeholder for the word Nazi.
Prison prostitute.
Oh, is that? Oh, okay. Okay. Because there was one part where like in the beginning where Copen like tries to get him to join his gang, and he's like, I'm not a punk, and he'll be like, we'll make one out of you yet, or something like that. And I was just like, So that actually changes a little bit of my opinion on Copen, knowing what that means now.
But it comes across like he's joking about making him a punk.
Right.
It's never that clear at the moment, and then later on you see that he doesn't try to turn out Ron. So that he's joking.
In fact, he protects him from assault, or like does retaliation with him for assault and stuff. So. Yeah, he's a wholesome Aryan brother, which is not a word I thought I'd use. Sorry. No, I take that back. So let's see. So soon, Earl uses his influence to move Ron into a better cell block and gets him work in the commissary instead of the furniture factory, which he hated.
Yeah, everyone talks about the furniture factory being terrible. It seems like it would be awesome to work in a furniture factory.
And
that sounds fun.
That's also where you learn how to upholster, which is like one of the easiest jobs to get post-prison, you know?
Well, here's the other thing is if it was, that's one of the things I think this movie was missing. Like, okay, if it was something that he hated so much, show us some of that. Why was it so miserable? What was going on in there that was so awful about it? But they completely skipped that part. I don't know. It seemed like there were some major holes that would have helped people who were watching it to say, oh, okay, this makes sense. Or, maybe I'm just, I need more guidance in the movie than what they were providing for us.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely on point. Give us more context. It's not a long movie already. It's at a trim 94 minutes, which I liked about it. But give us an extra minute of showing him toiling in the furniture factory, and it smells bad, and the guy next to him is mean, and his boss is a jerk, and he just can't wait to leave. Yeah, give us something.
Imagine, though, how much money it would have cost for like a 30-second scene in just staging a prison furniture factory. That, you got to construct so much like prefabricated furniture or break down furniture that you bought. You got to get all those extras. You got to get OSHA on set because it's like a workshop style place, It's a lot of stuff to do.
You could have just had some pieces of 2x4 and him with a hammer over in the corner by himself, and another inmate come up and give him shit while he's banging on it.
Yeah. He's like holding a chair leg, and another guy's like, get it moving. You got time to lean. You got time to clean. That kind of thing.
Right. You got factory noises in the background. They don't need to see the whole factory.
That's fair. I guess. Yeah. Well, was this Steve Buscemi's first film?
His second film.
Yeah.
Second film. Okay. Yeah. I guess his first one was Trees Lounge. And he's got a third film too. I've never seen that one. Interview. All right. So, next, Earl introduces Ron to his friends, which made me wonder if like he was an actual racist and an Aryan brother, because some of his friends include Jan, the actress, played by Mickey Rourke, who is like either a cross-dresser or I think a trans woman, based on a lot of things they say.
Yeah, based on the context of God made me all wrong.
Right.
I said something like, I wish I didn't have a dick.
Yeah, I wish I didn't have this big dick. I don't have anything to do with it, or something like that. Yeah, but also one of his friends is his muscle, Vito, is played by none other than Danny Trejo.
Oh, we love Trejo.
Yes, we do.
Who himself spent like 30 years in prison. So.
Oh yeah. So that his friendship with Vito, because it seemed like Earl and Vito were like best buds.
Yeah, definitely.
Film, right?
And Vito's like super loyal to him the entire film, and he's not white.
Right. That made me question it as well, and it's never discussed. It's one of these topics that the film doesn't touch on it once.
Yeah, but you know, desperation makes strange bedfellows, and perhaps these people didn't have anywhere else to go, so they provided Earl with something useful to him. But we see from Earl's character and how he treats Ron that he's not a manipulative person just out to extract things from people. So
no, but the movie is interesting in how it leads us to believe that this is what's going to happen, or maybe that's even just my own expectations from past.
Yeah, it was. I was always waiting for the shoe to drop, and like for Earl to like, corner Ron and be like, "You owe me something," and it never happened. Even up to the very end, like Earl helps Ron this entire film.
Yeah, he comes across altruistic the entire time in retrospect. Yeah. And that's unexpected for a prison film where you don't get something for nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
Or the chicks for free.
Prison is an exploitative environment, and so often films highlight that, whereas what's really being highlighted here is the the solidarity of community in prison.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I want to ask how you two felt about, before we move on, how did you two feel about the musical scenes of the film?
I don't know. I think that was one of those parts where, those parts where I think they could have used that time to help us understand situations better with inmates or relationships between individuals. I just felt like there were too many gaps that were left open, and they filled them in interesting ways. They filled voids in interesting ways in this movie without actually addressing, answers that we would have loved to have had. Like, again, like the relationship between Defoe and Trejo's character. Again, that's how is this happening? And we have a racist, a prison that's defined by race with three groups. Right? How is it that these two seem to just be running constantly together when clearly they have different races? So I don't know. It's it is something that felt like it left the music part. Though it was left something to be desired because of the holes in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I loved one musical scene in here when they're like at the canteen or something, and there's the bald person up on stage with a weird warbly voice. So that's one of my favorite singers of all time. Their name is Anthony Johnson. And they've like collaborated with Bjork, and they're incredibly accomplished. They're an incredible composer, and they just have one of the most haunting voices of all time. They wrote one of my favorite songs ever, "Hope There's Someone." It's such a beautiful song. It haunts me. But I saw them and I'm like, no way that's Anthony. And I looked it up and I'm like, well, Steve Buscemi has some great taste, because that's like years before Anthony even released their first album. So I don't even know where Steve Buscemi found out about them. But
that's wild.
I was pretty impressed. Yeah.
Yeah. Leave it to you.
Well, and that during that scene when I was going to say during that scene, and somebody comes over and threatens Furlong's character, or Ron, and you don't get to hear what's being said.
Right.
Exactly. I was like, okay, turn the music down and let us hear the conversation between them. Now we see the outcome of it afterwards and how it was handled, but it's I would it's one of those situations where give me more in this situation. The music can fade a little bit and then come back up after they're done talking. But
yeah, I was just happy that one of my favorite singers was in the film, and so I was entranced with that, and I was like, I don't really care what's going on right now. Plot doesn't matter. Good song. So let's see. So after that, Copen helps Decker's case and points out that under a new article passed by the legislator, a judge can modify a sentence in the first 120 days after sentencing if they want to, which Decker is still in. So Copen, who, as previously mentioned, is like an assistant to the captain of the guards and writes reports for him, helps falsify a report and omits several sentences, and gives Decker advice to stay out of trouble, which will make Decker appear as a minimal threat, and therefore, hopefully he gets his sentence reduced, because once again, he was sentenced for marijuana possession for 5 years. Like, come on.
Yeah.
A crime that in California now will fetch you a sentence of 0 time whatsoever, and the cop saying, have a nice day.
Yeah. I think that it was interesting that they chose a crime that is so innocuous by today's standards.
I mean, this was made in 2000 when it was still illegal in California.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure they had medical at that point, but it was still in its infancy, and so, you know.
But still innocuous, and it's interesting that they made him like, while he's an offender, he's like the lowest level of offender, and still the system throws everything at him and
puts him in San Quentin.
He can't seem to gain any purchase.
Yeah, exactly. Puts him in like one of the most dangerous prisons in the country, even though he's like, you know, he comes from a privileged family, so you figure he could get a lawyer that could put him in at least a decent prison in California.
Yeah, you would hope so.
So soon after, an inmate named Buck Rowan, played by none other than Tom Arnold,
Thomas Arnold,
corners Decker in a room and attempts to sexually assault him. And this is actually the best acting I think I've ever seen Tom Arnold do. Unfortunately, it's in a short and very awful role, but he's pretty good and like pretty threatening in this role. You know,
it's the most uncomfortable scenes in the movie.
100%.
Right.
Yeah, every time he's in the movie, I'm like, oh no, something I don't like is going to happen here, and it always does. So, thankfully, before he can, you know, go through with his full assault, Rowan is stopped, and Decker gets away.
He's stopped by the teacher of this of the programs and the groups. He walks into the bathroom and he says, "Hey, what's going on here?" And Buck Rowan presumably skitters off.
Yeah. So after that, Decker, wanting to take revenge, goes and buys a shiv from the local shiv shop in prison. And
it's weird. It looks like a back alley of prison. It's like next to like the water controls.
Yeah, and this guy brings out like this canvas like knife bag like a chef would carry, but it's obviously like made in prison. And he like lays it out, and Decker chooses like the craziest looking knife of all time.
You know what it is? It's like when you see a torturer, like a CIA torturer or someone, and they open up that canvas bag that's like two-sided,
right,
picking their scalpel or their instrument. It's one of those that he finds the shivs in.
Yeah, the tools that the executioner used to have at their disposal when they were going to torture somebody to eventually admit that they weren't a Christian, and then go ahead and confess their sins and confess that they wanted to be a Christian while they're being tortured, and then they could get their head cut off. But yeah, it was definitely, here are my tools and I'm going to torture you with by pulling out your intestines.
But Decker chooses like the most mall ninja coated knife in the bag. It's got all these like crazy twists and stuff on it. I don't know what the knife was actually made out of. Like, I can't fathom a blade actually being made out of anything that looks that dumb, but who knows? Copen agrees to help Decker with his attack on Rowan, and together they do a little diversion and stab him right in the liver.
Right in the liver, yeah. And it was interesting. You see Earl roll up. He steps in trying to save Ron, and the two of them start to fight. And Buck starts to win the fight almost immediately. And then Ron comes in from behind and stabs Tom Arnold. And the captain or lieutenant wants Earl to type up this report after the stabbing, which goes to show his level of power and influence in the prison. Like this guy was immediately implicated.
Clear conflict of interest. Yeah.
Yes. And then the lieutenant's like, "Hey, can you type up that report about that stabbing that
you were involved in?"
Part of? Yeah. Yeah. But so as soon as he leaves, though, a sergeant stops Earl and he's like, "Hey, we caught you." They put him in cuffs, Earl pushes back and he ends up in solitary confinement where they strip search him. They take his clothes and shoes. And Ron also ends up in solitary confinement. Both get strip searched. They leave him in these rotting cells. One interesting thing about solitary in this movie is we see Earl yelling to another inmate through the toilet. And this is something that we would see in jail during lockdowns. Inmates empty the toilets, they get all the water out, and then they can communicate with one another yelling into the toilets.
Which I think is a real thing, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like in real life, like when I was working at the jail, we would see this.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's like the cup on a string kind of thing.
Yeah. A tin can on a string.
Yeah,
that's the modern day equivalent.
I wonder if there's anyone in prison who just like gets lonely and they just put their head in the toilet and talk to the toilet. It's like, oh no, I'm having a conversation. Don't worry.
I'm sure things like that have happened.
Sure.
Or at least to look crazy.
So because of getting thrown in solitary and being seen as a threat, Decker's attempt at a modified sentence is denied, and he remains sentenced to 5 years for marijuana possession.
Yeah, he's got this dedicated dad, though. His dad is the same dad from Home Alone.
Yeah, and he's a really nice dad, and he like tries to give him like childhood pictures in prison, and the CO is like, nope, you can't give him those. Nope. And he's like, please, and she's like, nope. And it's kind of a fun scene, actually. Meanwhile, Copen manages to spread a rumor that Rowan, Tom Arnold's character, is snitching because he got Decker and Copen locked up for stabbing him. And resultantly, an inmate working at the infirmary prison poisons Rowan's IV with cleaning fluid and rat poison, I think.
Yeah, they really double down. I think one would have done the trick, but
no, I mean, no, it's the double tap. It's the double tap, you know.
Yeah,
I mean, if the man can survive being married to Roseanne Barr, like he can take at least some poison, you know.
Yeah. He's got like some special like genetic protections that we don't know about.
Right. So resultantly, the case against Copen and Decker is thrown out as the supposed victim and the main witness are now dead.
Uh-oh.
So, after their release from solitary, Copen tells Decker he plans to escape. And they plot together to hide in a garbage truck when the trash is being picked up and avoid being crushed by the trash compactor by using a metal bar to stop it, a la Star Wars. I think he saw Star Wars and he's like, hey, I got an idea. Which I don't think that would stop an industrial-sized compressor, but, you know, what do I know?
I don't think so either.
No.
When it actually gets to the moment where we see Ron in the truck with this barbell, I thought for sure it was going to crunch and he was just going to get taken out. But or at least like have some kind of malfunction where it goes and they stop the truck and they're like, what's wrong with this thing? But we'll get to that in a moment. One thing I do want to mention is Ron's dad. They contact Ron's dad, and Ron's dad says he has a friend who can help them out on their release. And if they can get down to Costa Rica, they can get jobs on a parrot farm. Now, would you two work on a parrot farm? What would it take?
Absolutely.
In Costa Rica? Absolutely. Every day of the week. Yeah. I'd take any job in Costa Rica. They're like, we'll pay you a living wage and you can live in Costa Rica. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I think so too.
No. Would you eat parrot?
Somewhere in the rainforest by a volcano? That would be great.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd eat parrot. You know, as long as I didn't have like a relationship with a parrot, as long as it wasn't, you know.
I think it goes along. That job goes along with our theme, being on the pirate ship.
True. Ahoy, dudes.
That's true.
Ahoy, parrot. So they get to the plan. They get to the final day, and Decker gets into the garbage truck and gets the bar out, and the compressor starts to compress, and it keeps going, starts to bend the bar a little bit, and Copen is still like in the jail. He wasn't able to get to the truck, so he's going to take another one, or try to at least. And we're left in suspense for a few moments, not knowing whether or not Decker got crushed or not, which I thought was like definitely the most suspenseful part of the film, which is an interesting thing to put like right at the end. But yeah, that was a pretty tense moment, I thought. But his plan works, and the compressor stops and backs up, and we see Decker in the back of the truck as it drives away. Copen also attempts to flee, but he's seen by a guard, so he doesn't get in the truck, and he stays behind. And
yeah, he's not caught, but he doesn't even make the attempt to get in the truck because he knows he will be caught.
Right. And then his final words are, in reference to this, he quotes Satan from Paradise Lost, saying, "Better to reign in hell than to serve in heaven." Which is an interesting thought.
Didn't he say something like, "This is my prison"?
Yeah, he said, "This is my prison."
This is so corny.
Yeah, but he does have a run of the place, and he does like actually rule in there, is opposed to like going out on the street with a conviction like that and running from the cops. Like, does he really want to work for some old dude on a parrot farm, probably making a minimum wage, hiding from the cops the rest of his life? Or does he want to, hang out with his buddies in prison and do what he wants?
Yeah, and they're shooting heroin every day in there is part of the whole deal. And we see him having some escape from that. Mm-hmm. He's also like, Willem Dafoe is a very distinct looking man. If he's on the outside, you know exactly who you're looking at when you see this guy.
Yeah. Right. I found this film interesting because it has the two most distinct looking character actors of all time in the film, Steve Buscemi and of course Willem Dafoe.
I'll argue the third,
Danny Trejo. Very distinct. You're not wrong. Actually, I'll argue a fourth, not a character actor necessarily, but Mickey Rourke.
Yeah, interestingly, I did not recognize Jan as Mickey Rourke.
Me neither. Not until I looked it up, and I was like, oh, well, I mean, he was in a bunch of makeup, but also like he's gotten so much plastic surgery between like this and even The Wrestler, which came out like 5 years later.
Yeah,
something like that.
So. Yeah, but
now, do we want to get to judgments, or do we want to talk about some of the minutia?
Let's talk about the minutia. We got let's talk about little facts and factoids and things like that.
Yeah,
so I love some of the minutia. Some of the things that are brought up, like at one point when Ron gets in tight with the gang, is when he serves as a lookout, and these guys are drinking homebrew. Or hooch, as they call it.
Right, yeah.
And that was an interesting moment of showing what prison relations are like. And he's new to the guys in the gang. They're trying to see if they can trust him, and he warns them when the corrections officers are rolling up on them,
and like smacks on the door a bunch.
Yeah. He smacks on the door so that they know the COs are coming, and they're trying to put it away. They still get caught, but they appreciate his efforts.
Right.
So something like that seems that's like well done in terms of prison relations and showing how people would act.
Yeah.
No,
I thought that part was pretty good. I thought, kind of accurate depiction of what goes on. And also I think, to go along with the name, not only how they would act, the transformation that goes on within these institutions, especially a place like San Quentin, where it is a place that seems to, I would say, lacks the focus of trying to rehabilitate people or turn people or provide people with an opportunity to improve their situation, and inmates get caught up in the world that exists in there, and as a result, I wouldn't say it turns them into animals, but it definitely provides them with the opportunity to learn how to be a better criminal, and growing growing their definitions of antisocial, expectations of the world and behaviors to be acceptable. Those, so you understand where that idea of it being an animal factory come from.
Yeah.
When we hear critiques of prison as it's a school for where you learn to be a better criminal, that's what the movie is showcasing, even subtly.
Right.
Yeah.
I would like to point out and extol Steve Buscemi and maybe the writing on this film for its actually pretty great queer representation, I'd say. Like,
yeah,
Jan,
there was nothing homophobic about it at all.
No, Jan the actress was like a very, lived in, realized, and like character with their own agency, and their gender identity was never really displayed as like a negative thing for them.
Right.
Yeah, it's and I really appreciate that. And also the inclusion of Anthony was also incredible. And I saw that, and I'm like, Steve Buscemi's a dog. This dude knows what's up. Like,
bark.
But as a queer, I was impressed by the queer representation in this film. And I'm going to, in my final judgment, I'm going to give it an extra half star just for that.
Also interesting was how the race relations are portrayed.
Mm-hmm.
At one point in the film, the black inmates have a strike going on. Part of the prison is blocked off, and they're staging some kind of movement for change.
Mm-hmm.
They're calling for bigger libraries and better classrooms. Mm-hmm. And one of the white guys says, "Hey, I would even go over to the black side if my friends would permit it." Mm-hmm. And like he stands, like he's for the cause, but the racial politics of the prison would make his friends mad, so he feels like he can't. Mm-hmm. And that's an interesting commentary in itself.
Right.
And a guy tries to go into the work facility and break this strike line, and he gets attacked and I believe killed by the striking inmates for being a scab. And that led to the riot scene that I had mentioned earlier in the recording.
Well, and the whole part of that where the people at the front of the riot were like, yes, or the strike, let him through, and then at the back they didn't get the message to let him through. He's just here to get a signature, and then he's going to leave tomorrow. I think that was what was the situation, right? Was that he was on his way out and he just needed a signature, and they ended up beating him. But yeah, I do agree that there were, the racial tensions and what was going on played such a key role to this, and I think they found very interesting ways to portray those to us.
Right. There was also a scene that dealt with like the racial tensions and gang violence where Decker gets his face slashed by a black inmate who's associated with the black gang in like the shower because he's just like bugging out like this inmate. And it's not like a racially motivated attack. It has nothing really to do with Decker. It was just like wrong place, wrong time. And a black inmate like stops this attack. And then goes to Copen and says like, hey, listen, I don't want there to be any retaliation here because this guy was just like going crazy. This was not gang related. Like, please don't make this a thing. And Copen like very diplomatically like agrees. And he's like, okay, I understand where you're coming from. And like, yeah. And it was like, it once again shows Copen as just a very measured, fair person.
Well, also, I might say his diplomacy was in part due to he knows that if they do retaliate, then it's going to cause lockdowns and it's going to compromise their chances of escape, which they're working on at the time.
And it's also going to cause more racial violence. Violence in prison only begets more violence, and he doesn't want to have to lose someone for no reason, especially when it seems like, the black gang internally is taking care of this themselves.
Yeah. Absolutely. That was an interesting thing for them to bring into the film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But very, for the time especially, pretty woke prison film, I'd say.
Yeah, it offered a lot of prison life without actually and objectively. So without actually putting any kind of like value judgments on anyone involved.
Right. And it didn't use sexual assault as a punchline once, which I can't say the same for any prison film from the 2000s.
There was a scene that made me uncomfortable though, when the gang is all hanging out in they're hanging out in one of the cells, and Ron is there, and they're like, "Oh, we're going to turn you out," and they start joking around like they're going to rape him, and that made me very uncomfortable, thinking that this is what it's coming to. This is why he's part of the gang, and then nothing happens. It turns out they were just joking, which is not funny.
You don't joke like that with your friends?
I tend to never joke like that with my friends. No.
Right.
Yeah. Well, different strokes, I guess.
It was interesting because a lot of the film, if this was a more boilerplate prison film, he would have been sexually assaulted at that point.
Yeah,
but this film had more nuance and more. They were showing it as, hey, we're comfortable with each other and we can joke around like this, even if it's making the audience uncomfortable.
Right. Yeah. So you want to get to judgments?
Yes.
What
Eric,
right.
Kick us off.
Well, overall, I mean, I do agree with, what we've been talking about, that very interesting way of presenting things, and, the absence of, like you mentioned, Britt, the punchline of, hey, we're going to sexually assault this person, and, that we constantly have that theme running through all prison movies. However, there were those gaps that I talked about. But I thought it was a good film. And so I ended up with 4 soups.
Oh, wow.
For Animal Factory, 4 soups.
All right. What do you think, Professor Strah?
So I like the film, and I as I've mentioned, I think it does a good job portraying prison life. But my problem with the film is that there's all these like disconnected elements at times. Like the plot is fairly loose. It focuses primarily on this friendship between Ron and Earl leading up to the escape at the end. But there's some elements of the film toward the end of the film. For example, we get a scene with Earl and this new warden who just came in, and we get some of the background of, Earl knows this new warden. This guy came up from being a corrections officer, and Earl had helped him with a term paper, but it never goes anywhere. We just see him talk to the warden once and agree to help him write another paper, and that's it. And I think in retrospect, it's probably used to build more links between Earl and the prison, showing us that he was never really going to escape, because that's where his life is. Like he's so institutionalized, he doesn't really want to leave. But so that's one gripe. And then another one is when it shows the facility itself, it looks exactly like Eastern State Penitentiary. It looks like shit. It's in the worst condition possible, which for modern day is not realistic for a working prison. The ceiling paint is peeling. It's dilapidated. It's crumbling. The cells are tiny. The doors are so small you have to duck to get in. Nobody would be proud to work in a facility this bad. And another thing is there's picnic tables in the middle of the tier, which makes no sense when there's barely any room for anyone to walk around it. So I found that unrealistic. Otherwise, pretty solid film, and I'm glad we saw this. It's one of the better ones that we've watched on the podcast. I'm going to give this 3 1/4 soups.
3 1/4. All right. Well, I guess I'm going to be the least kind to this film. I thought it was a pretty all right film. I didn't think there was anything especially great about it. I didn't think there was anything especially bad about it. It told a fine story competently. However, there wasn't really anything that like stood out to me that made me go, oh, this film has a lot to say about a thing. It felt more like an actor being like, hey, let's get good actors to act good about a thing. And that's what the film felt like to me. So I give it a 2.5 soups, but because of the great queer representation in the film, I'm going to bump it up to a 3.
All sounds fair.
It does sound fair.
Nah.
So we liked it enough.
Yeah.
And you, dear listener, if you want to go back and watch this film, it can be found on the Tubi app.
For free.
All free.
Yeah, we love Tubi here on the cast. Well, with that, we have no movie minute. I think we speed run this, and we thank our sponsor one more time.
Thank you, Roger Williams.
University School of Justice Studies. Yes, thank you
Eric,
so
that
much.
was so soft of you.
Like who's the fourth person they brought in?
Yeah, and we have a new teenage anime girl on the podcast.
This is Eric's new character.
Erica Bronsina.
Erica Bronson.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go. Wow.
Yeah. So
I love that. You know, what we can do is just have the anime girl just talk about her inner thoughts on here.
I'd rather not.
let's. I will censor and edit all of that out. And keep it for myself.
They never asked me about my thoughts about the movie.
Teenage anime girl, what'd you think?
I was blown away. Wow.
Ooh, I'm gonna need some alone time with this recording. All right. Yeah. So, is that a good place to wrap it up?
It does. It sounds like it's time for lights out.
It certainly is.
If you liked this podcast, give us 5 stars. Go to your favorite podcast app, give us 5 stars, and subscribe.
Yeah.
I'd like to
tell your friends about it. Like, word of mouth is the best way to do it. If you know anyone interested in criminal justice or in corrections or in the force of any kind or in prison, if they have access to podcasts, or if, they're interested in just some true crime or systemic stuff or the politics of prisons, just let them know about this podcast. Tell them it's super funny and a great listen. You listen every single week without fail. And your favorite is Producer Britt. Tell them all those things.
And we now have an anime teenager along with us.
Yes. Actually, my new favorite is Erica.
Well, Erica, will you take us to the end of the podcast with those 2 special words?
Lights out.
Lights out! Lights out!
Wow.
Lights out! Lights out! Lights out! Lights out! Lights out! Lights out! Lights out!